I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Poddango. Too many podcasts, not enough time? Let the station directors at Poddango sift through the mountains of podcasts to bring you the very best. Check out poddango.com. Let's go make a movie.
Yeah, let's go make a movie. I play a little banjo, and you can sing a little. It had that kind of a feel to it.
Right. Joining us today on the Culture Catch, Justin Theroux, New Yorker, Lynchian,
fellow
auteur. I love your hat, man.
Thanks, man.
You got to wear the hat. I get to wear the glasses. Combined,
Exactly.
Combined, it's a look.
Exactly.
Tell me about your first encounter with David.
My first encounter with David was Sans David. Actually, he had an encounter with me where, for Mulholland Drive, before I got that job, I had to do an interview for him, much like this, just on a video, and then they sent it to him. And it wasn't an audition; it was just like they asked you a series of questions, and then they sent him the tape, and he sort of vibes you, I guess. And then months and months went by, and then I got a phone call out of the blue saying, "David wants to meet you. Can you fly to L.A.?" And I said, "Sure." And so an hour later, I was on a plane, and then I went to his house right off the plane and met him for Mulholland Drive. We just sat and we talked about photography and a little bit about the script and some other stuff, and it went like that.
How did he hear about you? Where did he see you?
It was from that tape. He saw me, and
So it was a casting agent or somebody said, we'd like to recommend you?
I don't know. I know Joanna Ray, who has been his casting director for a long time, was the one who got me onto the tape. But the way in which he casts is oftentimes really just sort of by feeling, I guess. He doesn't really go for big stars or anything like that. He sort of goes, he intuits, I suppose, what kind of person he wants on a set, what kind of actor he wants.
Right.
I'm not even sure if he had seen my reel or my other work, but that's.
Were you intimidated at all?
Initially I was terrified. I was a big Lynch fan, so. And before you meet, I had never actually seen him interviewed or seen what he looked like or whatever, and so I'd only seen his film, so I was sort of half expecting to, meet a Marty Feldman type character up on in some sort of castle, but he answered the door himself, and his little sort of trademark shock of hair, and
Right.
it was kind of hey buddy, and kind of corny the
This
way he
jovial
is.
guy
Yeah,
that he
exactly.
is,
you
yeah.
know. And so I was like very impressed by how sort of just almost Midwestern he is,
Right, that great state of Montana.
Yeah.
The Eagle Scout, which is so odd.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
No,
resident.
he's a genuine sort of all-American boy, I guess. Is how you could also describe him. He's really, there's nothing very odd about David,
Right.
Particularly.
And when you were when you first read the script, and I'm always curious because oftentimes we don't get to see the written word, and then it's obviously maybe a different translation. Was it pretty true? Was the script true to the final vision?
Yeah, the vision is different than the script, but he's very particular about dialogue and the way things are written. There's not any, aside from the actual performing of the words, there's very little improv that goes on.
So there's no, I find that odd. There's no improvisation. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought maybe because they are so.
I think his style of filmmaking is so particular that he's very very succinct about what he wants. And again, the experience of making his films versus viewing them is always completely different. For me, at least, having now done it twice, where making his films, it's a very sort of lighthearted set and very, low key and non-pressurized. But his films are sort of anything but. So whenever you get to see it, it's even having acted in them, it's very much like seeing them for the first time.
That's great.
While doing them, you can't possibly anticipate what they're going to look like.
Right, because you don't know the vision that he ultimately has.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, when you were in those early meetings with him for both pictures,
Was there a discussion of how he wanted you to read the character a certain way, or what you wanted to deliver? Because there is so much vagueness sometimes. And
Yeah.
not a lot of backstory to go for an actor,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, very quickly you learn not to try and pin him down on, the overall trajectory of your character and, where your character's heading and stuff like that. He's very available as far as telling you what emotionally where your character's at, the things that he wants the way that he wants the scene to function, things like that. But you don't have to worry about crafting an overall performance, because I think so much of his filmmaking takes place in editing. Again, it's sometimes shocking. You'll be shooting a scene which you think is very, light and whatever, and then you see it, and he's, the camera has shifted and is focusing on something behind you, and he's built in some sound, and, he's layered over some music, and the feeling becomes overall something totally else,
That's great for an actor, any actor.
Yeah.
Because obviously the standard Hollywood treatment of a movie is a pretty linear process.
Absolutely, yeah.
The lighting, and you can expect all these cues to be the way they are,
Yeah.
and that's how they're going to be read
Yeah.
after you watch the dailies.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
so
in particular, doing his films, you also don't have to. You're just, you're doing what actors are supposed to be doing anyway, which is just doing the sort of moment-to-moment work that, is asked for.
In Inland Empire, did you guys get to spend a lot of time between shoot dates? Was there a lot of lag time between, or was your chunk shot in a specific time period? Because I know with Eraserhead, he labored over this thing for years and years.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess to an extent, this movie took, 2.5, 3 years to
Yeah,
complete?
yeah, it took a long time to complete.
Did you work in one chunk and then you were done with it?
No, we worked over several chunks. Like, for example, I wasn't ever in Poland. I think Laura was there just for a couple days.
Just for some street scenes?
Yeah, but he would just sort of call. It was a great way of working, because it's actually there was no set schedule as to, like, you start work on December X and you're done by February X. It was a very sort of, it had the feeling of getting together with friends and just sort of shooting some scenes and
Let's go make a movie.
yeah, let's go make a movie. I play a little banjo and you can sing a little. It had that kind of a feel to it.
Right.
And it was a very pared down crew, and technically it was very simple, and so we were able to literally just show up at places and with the words and the camera and a couple other people and just start shooting, and it was fantastic that way.
Now, how would you compare it to, because in between, bookending both these experiences in the middle, you had your 6 Feet Under period.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that compare? Was there similarities, or was it?
It was a weird year, actually, because I did a sitcom, which
You did?
thankfully didn't get picked up.
That you'll have to share with us.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. It's more abstract than this, I can assure you.
Really?
Than Inland Empire. Yeah, I was doing a sitcom. I did Miami Vice and this in the same year, and I was sort of always dipping away to go do David's thing.
Right.
And it was always such a relief. I mean, it was actually the most grounding work was doing David's stuff, which was sort of the most far flung as far as
Right.
Creatively, or what is sort of I find inspiring. But it was just a bizarre year. Yeah.